So I want to think just for a few minutes about how we plan, how we lead a session with more confidence. So I am a big planner. I'm not very good at doing things just as it happens. I like to know what's going to happen. I like to know how long it's going to take, and I like to know everything about it. So we're going to think about three things: about preparing our session, about on the day when we get there, before the session, and then leading the session with confidence. So when we think about planning our session, thinking about where we're starting from. So I always like to start from the Bible passage or the verse that I'm thinking about, and making sure that I've spent time knowing that passage. Because actually, if you're coming to your group and you know you're doing, for example, the Good Samaritan, we've all known that story since we were tiny. But actually, it's really important that we still sit down, spend time with that passage, because actually God wants to speak to us as much as God wants to speak to the young people. So it's really important that we spend that time with our passage. And then, what am I doing with this passage? Okay, we know the point of the Good Samaritan, but actually, what am I trying to send the young people home with? And it may be that actually you're not starting from the Bible passage, and that's equally fine. There may be something going on in your group that you need to deal with, whether that's, bullying or, stuff happening that you know is happening in your community that actually needs dealing with. Well, that's fine, but then actually what does the Bible say about bullying? What does the Bible say about whatever it is? So starting from the Bible and what God wants us to say through that. And then thinking about your passage or your theme, what do you want those young people to take away from it? I am, in some ways, tediously passionate to some people about making the Bible relevant. I don't want young people going home going, well, okay, so I know that 15 different theologians said all this about this Bible passage, but I don't know what it means for me. What is that point? What is the point you're trying to make? When I plan anything, my planning sheet that I share with my teams starts with the date at the top and then Bible passage, point. So in big letters, before you've even thought about anything you're going to do, at the top of the piece of paper it says the Bible passage and the point that you're trying to make. But then how are you going to make it accessible, interesting and memorable for them? We're not diluting it down, we're pointing them to Jesus, we're pointing them to the presence of God. But actually, how are you making it accessible? How are they going to go home remembering what you've taught them? So are you reading the passage and then doing a bit of a talk about it? Are you doing some drama? Are you having discussion? How are you going to make it relevant to them? How are they going to go home having enjoyed it, but also remembered what you want to do? And then that leads into kind of other things that you might do to fill your session. And I think importantly, particularly when you're starting out, timing stuff, how long is each bit going to take? There's nothing worse than either getting to the end and going, oh, we've got 20 minutes and literally nothing to do, or equally getting to the end and going, oh, there's 25 parents outside and we haven't prayed yet. Actually, how long is each bit going to take? And I never put prayer at the end. Prayer always comes in the middle because the bit you miss at the end doesn't matter if it's craft or a game or whatever. It matters if it's your prayer session. So prayer never comes at the end in my world. And if you plan it well, then you've got the confidence of knowing how the session will flow, how bits link together, what you want to get out of the session. I've become quite keen on, I've been quite ill on and off for the last few months, and I'm not asking for sympathy, I'm just telling you, and I've become quite keen on, if I'm not there suddenly, can somebody pick this piece of paper up and lead it? Literally yesterday, I emailed this to Ben and Sarah because I wasn't well, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be there tomorrow, this is what I need to say. And actually, can somebody pick up your planning and run your session if you're not there? That to me is a well-planned session. Yes, things change, yes, young people come with issues, come with things that need dealing with, of course they do. But actually, can someone pick up your planning as a starting point and run your session for you? So on the day, when you get to your session, I'm a big fan of not getting there at the last minute. And I know this is really easy for me. I work for a church. It's fine for me to turn up early. My kids are older. I don't have to worry about them. I'm in a position where I can say, I'm leaving at this time and I can leave my house and it's fine. I appreciate that's not true for everyone, but actually we need to be ready in plenty of time. We need to be able to greet those young people. We need to be able to say hello to everybody as they walk through the door. They don't want to be coming in while you're going, oh, I'm just doing this and I'm tidying this and I'm getting this ready. They want to come in and for you to be ready for them. It may be if you're doing a bit of a talk and you're not used to doing it, you might want to practice it at home. And yes, you will feel an idiot, I'm not going to lie. I practiced this at home and I did feel stupid. People kept walking in on me. I go, what are you doing? Shut up, I'm timing it. Yes, you feel stupid, but that's fine. But actually, then you know what you're going to say. You know how long it's going to take. You've got it in your head. As well as being a big planner, I'm a big list maker. I love a good list, me. And I love a good list of what I need to bring with me. As I plan my session, there's a list going on somewhere of all the things that I need to make sure I've got. Because you don't want to get there and discover that you've left that key thing at home and your whole session is now rubbish because you've left the post-it notes at home or the balloons at home. You know, whatever it is, you need to make sure you've got it. May have messaged my family several times today. So tomorrow I need this. I need you to go and find all the Lego. I need you to find a balloon pump for me and I need you to find this for me while I'm out. I've left them a big list of things they need to find for me for tomorrow. You need to make sure you're there in enough time to have that conversation about what's happening so that everybody knows what's going on in the session. And having time to pray together. You don't want to start a session having rush. The young people arriving and you go, oh, we haven't actually prayed together as a team. Having time to do that and to make sure you've got that time to pray, to know what everyone's doing. And making sure you're ready in time. I always make sure on a Sunday morning I have to set up all our Sunday school stuff at church in a different building, but I make sure it's done by 10:15 so that I'm standing outside church, often in the rain, at 10:15 to greet every child and every family. And frankly, many dinosaurs. I'm always talking to toy dinosaurs somehow every week. So I've had that conversation with every child, every young person, every family who's walked in, every toy dinosaur. I've talked to them all as they've come in to make them feel important and special and they know what's going on. So you've done your planning, it's brilliant. Anyone can pick it up, go off and lead it. You've set up, it's gorgeous, everything's ready. You've prayed, all the rest of it. How are you going to deliver that session with confidence? Particularly if you're new to it. And I know that for some of us, like we've been doing it forever, Lucy's been doing it forever, I've been doing it forever, it's possibly easier for us to stand up and do it. But actually, when you're starting out, how are you going to start that session? You don't want them to come in, sit down, and you to go, hi. Actually, you need to know what that first line is. You need to know how you're going to start and finish, really. But actually, again, practice that first line if you need to. Again, you'll feel stupid, but it's fine. The young people can see through us when we're bluffing and making it up. Actually, you need to sound confident. Again, you need to know, you need to have in the front of your head exactly what you want them to take home from that session. If you're doing a talk, you don't want to stand and read it. And like notes are fine. I've nothing against, you can see I'm using notes myself, nothing against it. But we've all sat through boring sermons where vicars have just stood up and read it to us. And they are dull. And we know they're dull. The young people know they're dull. They don't get more interesting as you get older. I feel I'm allowed to say rude things about vicars and sermons because I'm married to a vicar, so I feel like I'm allowed to say these things. But we've all sat through those boring sermons that have just been read to us. It's much better if you're looking at people and making eye contact. You come across as a human being. If you're having a discussion and you've got a list of questions, at least have thought about the answers. Don't go in going, what does God want me to take from this passage? I don't know, haven't even spent even 10 minutes thinking about it. Actually, you need to make time to make sure you've thought about those things. I mean, this, like what Lucy was saying, it's not rocket science, really. If you've planned it and you know what you want the session to look like, you know what you want the young people to go away with, you automatically lead more confidently because you've thought about it. So I've got on the sheet 3 key questions that I think we should be asking every time we plan or lead a session. 1, what is my biblical point? What is God trying to say to me and these young people through this passage? If I'm starting from a theme, what is the Bible saying about that theme? 2, how am I making this accessible, interesting, and memorable for the young people? Do I know clearly what I'm trying to say in my own mind? And 3, have I got everything? Is my car completely full of all the things I need? It's really practical. But I dread turning up places. Maybe it's I work 10 miles from home, so I'm conscious that I don't have time to nip home. Like my husband, because he's a vicar, we live really close to church. And most Sunday mornings, he's phoning one of us to say, so I haven't quite managed to remember. I mean, I literally answer the phone going, what have you forgotten this week? And he gives me the list of all the things he's forgotten. I don't have that luxury. I'm 10 miles away. But have you got everything? And I've got you some questions to think about. What do you need to do to be more confident in your preparation and leading? Is there something that you think, actually, that's all right, but actually I could do that better? What practical steps can you make to be more confident? And do you need help from somebody? And it's fine to ask for help. None of us can do this on our own. We've got a diocesan team of people who are great, who literally get paid to help us. That's what they're there for. It's literally their job to help us. We all have the capacity to be brilliant, but actually we do need help. We need to rely on God, and we need to have thought things through and not just kind of turned up and gone, oh, what should we do today? Oh, let's see what's in the cupboard. Open a Bible at a random page and see what happens. We need to have made that time to plan, to have thought it through, and to know what's going to happen.